Okay, this is Orlando Wilson. What I want to talk about in this video is something to do with operational planning for close protection, investigations, etc. And you know what, over the years, most of the problems I've had, and I tell people the close protection business, the management business is dealing with problems. Most of the problems I've had is generally started because of we've overlooked small things or small things have gone wrong. You have to, I've come across so many people over the years and they're considering the big issues and not the small issues. Basic example of people want armored cars. And I come across this recently where somebody had, okay, very nice car, etc., etc. But when they broke down, they never had a breakdown kit. They never had a spare tire, they never had a jack, they never had anything in the car, but they got a very nice flash armored car, which, to be honest with you, when it's broken down is completely useless. They ended up having to get picked up by somebody else and moved by an unarmored car because their fancy armored car was broken down. So this is where you have to always pay attention to the smaller issues and not just focus on the big issues. Even as far as travel management is concerned, traveling, making sure you're at the airport on time, making sure if you need visas, you've got the right visas, making sure all your paperwork is good, making sure you're going to the right airline, going to the right airport. And I've had people go to the wrong airport. That happened to me once when I was in South Florida. I had somebody go to Fort Lauderdale airport instead of Miami airport because they've always flown out of Fort Lauderdale, but that day they were flying out of Miami. So they ended up missing a flight because of that, because people don't check. You always need to go over things, even if it seems basic. You need to go over issues or things that could be potential issues. One thing as well, I seem to, there's always an issue with, well, a lot of times there's issues with is communications. And this is where, especially if you're going from one area to another area, your phones might work in one area, you might have Wi-Fi in one area, but you go into another area, into another country, and you're going to have issues with communications because the data's not working, the phones are not working, etc. And if you don't have communications, it can lead to big issues. Something we come across recently is loss procedures. And once upon a time, before we had cell phones, etc., before we had mobile phones, and I've been in this business that long that when I first started, we never had communications. If you're lucky, you had radios and that's it. Of loss procedures, back in the day, you always had a rendezvous point where if people are lost, they can make their way to that rendezvous point if they're separated, etc. We dealt with something recently where people got lost and there was no communications, and I'll do a short video about communications later on. There was no communications, people got lost, separated, and everything was rectified, but there was confusion for a while. So this is going back down to, you need to have simple things like rendezvous points if people do get lost. People rely on cell phones, on their communications devices, well, on smartphones too much these days. You got to think about, what are you going to do if those crash, if somebody loses their cell phone, if it gets wet, if there's a problem, if it breaks. So a simple rendezvous point somewhere which people can go to. How are they going to get there? Do they have a means to get there? Do they know how to get there? Do they have the money to get there? And once they get there, they can wait, etc., to move on to be picked up, or move on to the next location to get instructions, to get Wi-Fi, to pick up another phone, etc., etc. So this is where you always got to pay attention to the small points. Because I said, over the years, most of the issues I've had have generally started with something small and irrelevant, a little problem you never think is going to cause you a problem, and it ends up causing you big problems, big confusion. So that's one thing, that's my opinion. Always take care of the small things. Pay attention to detail. And as far as plans are concerned, always double check and double check. Get somebody else to go over and check your plans. I know some people, especially in the close protection business, their egos won't allow other people to critique them, but by getting your plans looked over by other people and getting critiqued by other people and having other opinions from people with different perspectives, you can identify potential problems before they happen and avoid the problems. And this business is all about avoiding problems. It's not about getting into trouble. So just a little video on why you need to pay attention to the little things in life. So in the meantime, follow me along on social media. I've got a lot more. We've got a ton of videos up on our social media platforms. Excuse me. We're up on YouTube, we're up on Instagram, we do have a TikTok channel, but I prefer LinkedIn at the moment. We're up on X. So follow us along on social media, and you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I will get back to you in time. In the meantime, be good, stay safe, and as always, try to stay out of trouble.